And we are day 2 at the Maritime, Arctic and Safety Security Conference right here in downtown St. John's, Newfoundland. What a conference it has been today. This is the Over the Horizon podcast sponsored by the Atlantic Canadian Aerospace and Defense Organization. I'm Alan Dales, Jerry Carew. We are Gale Force Winds, and I can tell you what a privilege it has been to be in conversation with the people that are here that are really making an impact on Canada's maritime, Arctic for safety and security reasons. We're certainly happy to be in conversation with our next guest. Simon, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Right, thanks Al. Jerry, good to be here with both of you. Simon Hughes, I have a naval background. I was in the Navy for 30 years. Al and I had a chance to work together towards the end of both our careers in NDHQ. I was a combat systems engineer by trade. I grew up on the East Coast. I was born in the original IWK hospital in Halifax. Yeah, spent my life growing up on the South Shore. Had an affiliation with the sea, sailed with my dad. Started my naval career on the East Coast, went West Coast, back East Coast, time in NDHQ. Had a variety of jobs, did some great travel around the world, being a representative for Canada through the CAF, through the Navy. And then ended up settling in Ottawa with my wife and my 3 kids when I took the uniform off. People say, well, you're retired. And it's like, well, last time I checked, I'm still working, right? So I changed careers in 2012 and went to the defense industry. I had some ideas about what was I going to do. Seemed like a soft landing would carry on with something that you know the best. That's a first step outside of uniform. So yeah, went to the defense industry, and I'm working for Lockheed Martin Canada, Rotary Mission Systems, that particular business area, and based in Ottawa for the last 7 years. Wow.
Simon, so you grew up on the South Shore of Nova Scotia, joined the Navy to see the world, and you got as far as Halifax.
Well, I went a bit farther than that, as you would know, Al, right? But yeah, that's the joke, right?
That's great. So you got a heck of a background to bring you into Lockheed Martin. Now Lockheed Martin's doing wonderful things. Tell us a little bit about Lockheed Martin at the moment.
So Lockheed Martin Canada, Rotary Mission Systems, that particular business area. Rotary is Sikorsky. Lockheed, the corporation, acquired Sikorsky a couple of years ago now, and Sikorsky has, some very good business interests in Canada. They're also obviously part of the CH-148 Cyclone, that helicopter. Yeah. And then the mission systems part of where we work in Canada, which is the vast majority of the Lockheed people in Canada, has everything to do with, traditional things that our core businesses, combat systems, mission systems integration, command combat management systems, which is like the brain of the ship as they refer to it in the frigate, for example, and that system's on board. AOPS, and it's also going to be on board Joint Support Ship and in Canadian Surface Combatant. So we are an agnostic mission systems, combat systems integrator at our core. We have a tremendous amount of expertise in complex program management as part of executing and delivering on those mission sets and those systems and integrated systems and equipments, primarily in naval platforms. We also have some interests in the land force and the Army, and we have done things also with the Air Force in the past. Some of the things that Air Force related in Canada now are a different business area in Lockheed. They're in the aeronautics business area, so think F-35, but C-130J Hercules is in there, and that's in the ISS phase now, and so we have aero people in Canada working on that. And down in Montreal, I don't know if a lot of people know this, there was a commercial engine solutions company there in Montreal, and at some point, I forget how long it is now, Air Canada kind of let them go, and they were at risk of going bankrupt, and Lockheed stepped in and acquired the company. So we have a commercial engine solutions business in Montreal, which is a Lockheed Martin entity. I don't interact with them. It's not part of my particular business.
Is there a name on that entity? Yeah.
Well, it's called Lockheed Martin Commercial Engine Solutions, and there's about 250 people down in Montreal in that area. Yeah, it's a significant business. Right. It's doing really well. I mean, COVID slowed things down for them, of course. Jets weren't flying, but they're fine and they're recovering well. Wow. So it's not just defense. In Canada, there is this interesting little commercial engine solutions piece for the commercial airline industry. And then it's all this mission systems integration. And out in Calgary, there's CDL systems. Think autonomous UAVs. Think UAVs. And what they really have an amazing expertise in is the ground control stations for the UAVs. Wow. And they've done a huge business with that control software in the U.S. military and internationally. and we're hoping that we'll be able to get them to do some more business in Canada. But just an outstanding small part, like 50 people, but with a great product, mostly software based, agnostic again to the UAV, or control of a autonomous surface vehicle as well. So it's cool.
Lockheed Martin.
It's a big company, right?
Big company.
There's just all kinds of stuff going on.
There's all kinds of stuff going on, which is great, right? So, you would come to one of these shows, whether it's this one, DefSec, CanSec, or indeed internationally, your business to business card would be full. Everybody would want to be talking to you to see how they can help or collaborate with you in some way. So understanding that and understanding ACADA's mission here is really to bring these SMEs into the conversation, get everybody talking. What would you say to an SME that might be trying to get that meeting with you?
This is a really good question, right? For obvious reasons, and Lockheed has a great relationship with ACADA and the Atlantic provinces over a long, probably 40 years now, to be honest with you. And most of our business in Canada is maritime, and a huge amount of it happens to be on the East Coast with the naval fleet in general. So one of the things I always, tell somebody when you want to come and talk to me is do a little bit of research first, right? I mean, the website's there. There's all kinds of great information on the website about what we do in Canada, what we do beyond Canada, what we're looking for in suppliers, how do you become a supplier. Simple things like get registered in the supplier database and indicate that, you're a Canadian supplier, right? Because when you're in the database, when our sourcing people are looking for something, whatever that is, they're going to go to the database first and see, well, who do we already have in the database? Oh, we've got 5 companies. Have we worked with any of these 5 companies before? Oh, we've worked with these 3. Okay, and that's where they'll start. If you're not in the database, they'll never see you.
Right.
So I always tell them, do a bit of research on us before you come and talk to us. So where we can go, okay, you've been able to then articulate how you might fit in with our interests, either current programs or possible future opportunities within the business. And again, if you're talking to me and you think this is more an opportunity with the broader LM, you can still have a conversation with Lockheed Martin Canada folks that are at one of these conferences, for example. That's totally fine. But do your research, sit down. One of the things that helps the conversation is, often the big tier ones, not just Lockheed, when the ITB policy came in a number of years now, it changed things in a great way. And it's a good policy. It works for Canadian industry, in terms of driving economic benefit and jobs in Canada. It's effective. But it came in and people got the perception that the big tier ones were kind of like investment banks, right? You have obligations that you made on current programs, and you're looking at making obligations on future programs to compete and win those. And you have dollars to invest in Canadian industry as a result of the value proposition. And that's 100% true. But none of the tier ones operate as a bank. So if you just come and say, hey, I need money to do this, unless there's a connection there or there's a logic there as to why we would invest, there's nothing I can do to help you, right? So that goes back to the research piece. Have a real think. So when you sit down and you talk, when I'm sitting there listening, I'll understand, okay, you understand what you're talking about. It's not that you're asking me for money, it's that you see a fit, and you've articulated to me the benefits of that fit, not just from the technology piece or the service piece, but also how, if we invest, the value that will derive from that. Not just necessarily a one-time value, but perhaps a greater value, and maybe it's applicable across more areas of Lockheed than just my particular business area where I work, right? And when somebody does that and they have a great product, and most of them have great products, it's not a question that hey, that's not a cool thing or a great thing. It's the rest that some people haven't done a bit of homework on before they come and talk to you, right? And there's a big difference when you're sitting down and listening between one person and the other person. And if the person has done the research and they can articulate the business proposition, the value proposition to us, and it's logical, okay, I will always take that away and go back to the industrial development folks who deal with ITBs and Valprop, who look across an integrated view of Canada in terms of everything that's on our books we're trying to achieve, look across all of the 4 business areas that Lockheed Martin has, because if it's not us, hey, it might be somebody else. and they'll at least then have a look. But if I don't come away understanding what the value is, chances of me honestly doing anything about it after that are pretty slim. And that's the kind of advice I would give people.
Simply perfect, Simon. I mean, there'll be SMEs watch this and better now understand how to have that conversation. And to be quite honest with you, I've not heard it articulated in such an elegant fashion to make it easy for those SMEs to understand it. So fantastic, and I hope that if we do nothing else, we take that snippet and help those SMEs get in front of you. Because I can tell you, I've had the pleasure of picking up the phone and calling you and helping companies have that conversation with Lockheed Martin, and I know your doors are open. I know they are. You want to be in the conversation.
We do, and we want to use small medium business for the obvious reasons of ITB VP, but also in many cases it's just a great company with a great product or a great service, regardless of the fact that there's an SMB qualification, right? It's not always just about, it's not just about investing in SMB to derive the Valprop equation. It's hey, this is a great company that we want to work with because they've got great stuff. Stuff being a highly technical term, of course.
Yeah.
So, they have great stuff, and we want to work with them.
Yeah.
And so it's not just the one thing.
Yeah.
We're not just looking at you because we want to take your value so we can write a piece of paper to give it to ISIT so we can claim an obligation at a 5 times or 6 times or 7 times multiplier. It's not just about that. No. It's first and foremost about, is this smart business? Do we want to work with this company? Is there risk? Blah, 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 blah.
You bring up a good point there, a little bit about multipliers and stuff, and that gets me thinking about, a relationship with academia and the like, getting involved in some research and development. Tell me about Lockheed Martin's approach on that, because I can tell you that we're feeling in this conference the appetite for government, academia, and industry to work collectively together is there. People want that to happen. Where's Lockheed Martin's thought process on that?
So when we went from the IRB policy to the ITB policy, after a year, 18 months or so, everybody in the industry, not just us, realized that we need people doing this full time. This is a different beast. So we've hired people into what we call industrial development, and that's their full-time job. So they look at academia, investment frameworks, defense R&D, commercial, and all those things, so that if we do, for example, a 5-year investment framework, we'll have a small medium business, we'll hook them up with academia, we'll hook them up with maybe another research institute, whatever we can, say, okay, this is where we'll invest our money, we'll invest it in these chunks over 5 years, and at the end of that, we'll extract a 10 times, we'll be able to extract a 10 times multiplier to claim the value proposition out of that effort. But in the meantime, all those great folks had the opportunity to work together and produce something of value at the end of it. So our industrial development people are fully plugged in with academia and research centers across Canada. And it's always a consideration for them. It's like, okay, well, hey, we could take this company with this idea and we could connect them to, Waterloo or somebody else, and we could also bring these folks in. We could bring DRDC in as well, for example. And, hey, what does that look like? So it's like I was like Lego analogy, and it's great to see that someone has a Lego model here at MASS. I thought that was awesome. It's like Lego building blocks, right? You throw all the Lego on the floor and you go, okay, well, what can we build out of this? And then they build it and go, do I like what that looks like? It's like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That's good to know that not only are you interested in making those connections, but you actually have teams of people that are connecting people up, right?
We have, if I remember correctly, it's like Lockheed Martin in Canada has the largest ITB obligations of any company in Canada, right? CSE being a large chunk of that. So that's a bit of an outlier, but even if you take that off, I still think it's the largest obligation. So very, very serious about it. I said knows we're very serious about it. We take it very seriously, and we deliver. Right? But it takes a lot of effort, right? And it takes people spending all their time to be experts, to use their minds to think very much out of the box in a lot of cases, to say, I can build this, Lada out of the Lego. Well, but if I do this, I can build a Porsche out of the Lego, because I know you like Porsche.
Yeah, I do.
You know him well.
Well, I learned that this morning. You see, every day you learn something new. So it's a very serious endeavor for us. It's changed from IRBs. Like I said, it's a really important part of the business.
Yeah.
And from delivering programs, that part once you're under contract, but it's exceedingly important in the competitive process in Canada. So if you're not taking it seriously and you're not thinking outside the box, it's going to be hard to discriminate in proposals, and in some cases it will make the difference between winning or losing. So, as with all the big tier ones, dead serious. Serious.
Well, to use a Newfoundland expression, it sounds like Lockheed Martin's got it all together, which is great. Now let's
like to think that.
So let's take a little a trip up north here. Let's talk a little bit about the Arctic. We've heard a lot of conversations over the last day about challenges up there, opportunities that exist up there. Let's get your thoughts on what's happening in the Arctic and how this ecosystem can help.
So, disclaimer: I'm not an Arctic expert.
Yeah. Well, you have an opinion.
I haven't been able to go to the Arctic. The one chance on staff college, unfortunately.
No, but I said you've got an opinion on it.
But I've got an opinion on it. I have been paying attention.
Yeah.
I've been to MASS. This is my third trip to MASS. And every time I learn a little bit more about the Arctic. I thought yesterday on day one, when the Honorable Peter MacKay spoke, I thought he touched on some really excellent points about the Arctic. And then when Rear Admiral Santarpia, commander of Marland, spoke, he added to that. And then when the CSIS gentleman got up and gave his presentation, he filled in a couple of gaps there from a pure threat, large state actor point of view. But if I go back to some of the things that, MacKay and Santarpia said, safety, security, and sovereignty in the Arctic, right? These are kind of the three S's. And my interest or my focus these days is the Coast Guard, right? And how does the Coast Guard become a greater enabler to the security and sovereignty piece in the Arctic? And if we think of what's going on in the defense realm, now the Coast Guard, they're not a defense organization, right? They're mostly a safety organization and security from a search and rescue point of view, and some general maritime domain awareness, because they have the MSOCs and they have sensors on board that they contribute. But if you go and you look at the Coast Guard and you look at their primary missions and their secondary missions and their mandates within their own documentation and the Arctic policy framework that came out last year or the year before, there are clear guidance and requirements in there from a security point of view, and in particular support to OGD, which would include defense, CBSA, and other organizations like that. So what more could they do in the Arctic to contribute to the pressures that were well articulated yesterday that are very Arctic specific? Russia, Chinese, other actors that are up there, natural resources that obviously other people would want, the ongoing discussions about where are the EEZs when you're on the bottom of the ocean, where are those lines, lots of things that are not resolved, and what some countries, how they take advantage of that. And we shouldn't be naive to that. So my national shipbuilding strategy, right? Coast Guard is going to have, 2 polar icebreakers and 6 program icebreakers, which are going to be fairly good size. These are going to be new builds, right? Between now and 2030, 2230-ish, somewhere in there. Right? I don't have the actual fleet plan schedule, so I don't know. But they're going to build them before 2035. Those are all going to be new ships, and they'll be incredible. They'll recapitalize the Coast Guard. They're desperately needed. What could you put into those vessels from an intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance point of view that would force enable the Coast Guard to contribute in different ways to security and other government departments, defense, from a maritime domain awareness point of view? And Joanne Weiss, I forgot her last name unfortunately, from the Coast Guard yesterday, talked about their contribution to maritime domain awareness, right? And it's there, but it could be much more. And for me, right now, given all the conversation around safety, security, and sovereignty in the Arctic, given that NSS is going to design and build these 8 tremendously capable new vessels, there's a once-in-a-generation opportunity for the Coast Guard to require capability to go into those vessels that would enable them to contribute in a much greater way to the security mission, to support OGD in a much greater way. I think it's be a win for the Coast Guard because it would elevate their status in terms of what they're able to contribute within mandates that in reality are missions that they already have. It would take them to the next level. And it's 2022, right? It's not 1972, it's 2022.
Right.
That was very clear yesterday. And then when we think NORAD modernization is all about sensing and maritime domain awareness, not just in the Arctic, but also down, the east and west coasts, and obviously above the surface. Well, the Coast Guard could have sensors on board from an ISR point of view that could, be extracting data as they're transiting through the north and staying in the north. They're the only 365, 24/7 presence in the north, other than the Inuit, right? But as Centarpia said yesterday, it's like there aren't enough sensors up there. It's like, okay, so we need to put more sensors. Well, you have an opportunity here to do something different with these traditional Coast Guard icebreaking platforms and put sensors in there. They could contribute to NORAD modernization from a sensor point of view. The data that comes back from the sensors, the maritime domain awareness that they could add to in a meaningful way because they're there all the time. NORAD modernization is in essence a system of systems. So
Right.
it will want to connect and extract data and information from all available sensors and platforms that are out there. So the Coast Guard, without changing their legal mandate, could contribute to that in a meaningful way.
Have we missed a boat on it?
No, I don't. I said that yesterday, and I keep saying it, and I keep telling people, okay, I'm not trying to make a pun here, right? No, because the polar icebreaker is still in its design phase.
Right.
It's not missed. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about the first polar icebreaker that C-SPAN will build. The program icebreaker design phase hasn't even started yet. That will go to Davy, and Davy's in the process of negotiating the umbrella contract. And once they get under that, then they'll be able to start these programs. So that hasn't started yet. So I haven't missed it.
Right.
But I think there needs to be a different conversation here to help the Coast Guard realize the opportunity, the generational opportunity that's at their feet, and Canada and the benefits that would deliver to all of Canada. As I'm a taxpayer, like you guys are taxpayers, right?
Yeah.
And when I think about it from a taxpayer point of view, I think, wow, we're going to spend billions and billions of dollars investing in these absolutely needed platforms for the Coast Guard. For, relatively speaking, a little more investment, we could create ISR capability in them that can contribute in a much broader way domestically, internationally, when we think of NORAD, and even from a NATO perspective.
Yeah.
And for very little cost, relatively speaking. And it's like, why wouldn't we do that? Because these ships are going to be around 50 years, 40, 50 years, let's face it. And this, if you design it in from the start, it's much less costly.
Right.
And if you design it from the start correctly, as technology advances and you want to insert technology because you've thought about it from the beginning, that is also more cost effective through life. So you can adapt through life. So we haven't missed the boat.
Yeah.
But the window is going to close here in the next couple of years.
Right.
And I'm passionate about saying, look, this benefits everybody. It'd be a win for industry because there's work there for industry. It's a win for the Coast Guard, I think, because it just elevates them and closes gaps in this security mission that I think, they could argue with me, maybe I'm wrong, that I think they have. And they already have support and guidance to say, hey, we would like you to be doing this. And it's a win for the government, I think, and all Canadians, because these strategic assets, because let's look at them, they're strategic capital assets, can do more.
So, a brilliant idea, and I've watched you talk to the admirals in the room and stuff, and they're nodding. They're nodding along with you there. A brilliant opportunity, and as you say, the opportunity is not lost.
Nope.
So there's still time here. What do you see as the next steps? How do we, as a community, get this message out?
So conversations that we're having at MASS, the conversation that you folks and I are having right now, and there's Coast Guard folks here in the room today, and I am going to take an opportunity to talk to Joanne today while I'm here, and then when I go back to Ottawa, I will, as an individual within Lockheed, continue to talk to the Coast Guard there to try to encourage them to seriously consider this. And I will say, they are listening. Like I'm not in any way bad-mouthing the Coast Guard at all. They are listening, and they are in a tough spot, right?
Sure.
NSS came, all this, just like the Navy, they hadn't built or bought ships in
Yep.
longer than even the Navy, right?
Right.
And they're a relatively small entity.
Yep.
They've got small PMOs, and it's happening for them very fast.
Yep.
And it's a real challenge for them, and I'm very considerate of that. But, you know, don't miss the opportunity, right? Don't miss the opportunity. Just don't let it go by. And thought leadership, collaborative conversations. You know, AOPS 7 and 8, right, for the Coast Guard, the Coast Guard variant of the AOPS, the 1 through 6, and there's been some changes made for the Coast Guard. They're different bit of a mission set. They don't need the same things. You know, our team, our engineering technology team, the design team, sat down with the Coast Guard when that first stood up, and that was a bit of a surprise to the Coast Guard. So they were like, you know, what do we do here? And they showed them what we'd done in the Navy and said, we know you don't need exactly this. But they talked about systems integration, right? They talked about things that the Coast Guard didn't have in the older platforms, you know, and the value of systems integration. The fact that you could take your science mission systems, which historically for them are individual in the ship, and local area networks in the ship, working networks, so quality of life, quality of work, and we can integrate all that back into a single place. And from the ability of a scientist to come on board, sit down in their cabin, plug their laptop in, access whatever sensor they want, work on whatever data they want from one place, right? Makes work at sea, quality of life at sea, much better for them, more efficient, more effective. Because in the past, scientists would come on board, have to go down to the space, plug into the equipment rack, manipulate the system, get the data off, and then go back up, go back to their cabin and work on it. That's an inefficient way to work in 2022, and there's no need, right? There's no need. So they listened. Kudos to them. They listened. They got it. And, you know, through the design phase, which is just about at the end of the design phase now, from the point of view what we've collaboratively worked with them, and I will stress it's been very collaborative with the Coast Guard, right? And we've been listening as much as they've been listening. They're going to have an outstanding integrated science mission management system in AOPS 7 and 8 when it's built. So it's like, great, you took a baby step here. It's great. Let's continue this thinking in the polars and the program icebreakers and at least take this there, because they will also have science mission systems on board. They have the same sort of mission in there, and they will do those things. So, hey, you could do that. What else could you do, right? What else could you button into that from a systems integration point of view that would allow you to close that security gap and be a really automated intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance platform, because you're there anyway.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we take advantage of that force enabler, that information enabler, that digital enabler, and all the agencies, you know, Coast Guard itself, D&D, CAF, Navy, CJOCS, NORAD, NATO could make use of that data, because you've heard this from lots of other people than me. It's all about data now. It's all about data in the 21st century. Collecting it, it's all there. Can you collect it? Can you make sense of it? Can you turn data to information to knowledge?
Right.
Because you can act on knowledge. It's difficult to act on information because you're guessing, but you can act on knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think the Coast Guard has a tremendous opportunity here. I firmly believe it. But it's like they're stressed by NSA.
Yep.
And so we just have to keep the conversation going with whoever we can.
Yeah.
Who can help just pause and think and consider, you know? And that's really all I'm looking for, is like, just consider it. And they did that with AOPS 7 and 8. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
You know, we sat down, we had a conversation, and it's like, you're right. We're in the design phase. We don't want to miss an opportunity. We need to think about this. And they've done something. We've got interest there in the Army and the Navy. I mean, you know, we've been extremely lucky. It's been a great partnership with us and the Navy, and we don't take that lightly at all. We really appreciate it. We like the fact that we're felt like we're a trusted partner, and I do think we've earned that over the last 35 years with all the work we've done there. You know, we're in the Halifax class frigates, we're in AOPS, we're in JSS, we're in CSE. People go, well, what's left with the Navy, you know?
Yeah.
But the Navy has some interesting smaller initiatives on the way that are around containerization of capability.
Yeah.
Right? You can move around and use the AOPS as a platform,
Exactly.
that great deck space aft, and say, what modular capabilities we can put in there. So there's a couple of things there I'm thinking about right now that I think we could add value and contribute to. And, you know, those are things that can be done at relatively low cost, and therefore they can be done within Navy lines of control financially,
Right.
program-wise, so they can do them a little bit faster.
Right.
So those are kind of things for me personally as the maritime business development guy that I'm looking at within the naval domain. future naval training system, how the naval training system is going to evolve. Big, complex system of systems unto itself. CSC, Canadian Service Canada, is going to drive a lot of probably technology and digitization that's going to come out of that from a training delivery point of view. And how does that influence how the rest of the naval training system evolves? So that's another big one for us from the training side. And then the in-service support pieces that fall out of these various programs. And if you're lucky enough, you get it maybe with the win of the program, but sometimes you're also competing for that. And we have a good ISS strategy and goals certainly in that regard. And we are an ISS company as much as we're a training company, as much as we're a systems integrator company. You know, people tend to see us only as the one, but hey, we got, because of the working with the Navy, we have a world-class training capability in-house, which we have exported. You know, and the export story shouldn't be lost here.
Right.
We've exported the CSI, Combat Systems Integration, the Combat Management Services, Program Services to New Zealand and Chile. We exported the training capability to New Zealand.
And that was the point of it all, right?
That was the point. It was to do this work in Canada. Now you have the opportunity to export. Canada wants you to export. Well, here you go, right? And other companies do amazing stuff in this space as well. But one thing about the export domain, that if my international BD partner Martin Teft was here, would say, and other companies I was talking to here yesterday, if your own country hasn't bought from you first, and you don't have that reference, international customer will just see that as risk. They don't want to be first. Right? So having Canada buy whatever it is you're offering first and have that be a success is like gold in your hand when you go to try and compete internationally, let alone win internationally.
Jerry, your thoughts? You were quiet.
Very quiet.
It's unusual
He's an active listener,
He's
which
an
is
active
a real
listening.
skill, right?
Yes. Well, I got to tell you, we created Gale Force Wins for Ideas. My God, Simon, your ideas are wonderful.
I'm allowed one good idea a week, right? So I've been recycling this one idea, right?
Well,
it's
a good one. You know what? You've served your country for 30 years, and you continue to serve your country. I can't help but think about how lucky we are that you are willing to get up every day and do what you do. Wow. I just was fascinated listening to you. Thanks for joining us. That's all I got to say.
My pleasure, gents. I think what you guys are doing, you're a voice, you're getting lots of great stuff out there, all sorts of different topics. And if it's not defense, it's other very interesting people who come and talk. I know Peter McKay sat down with you, I think he said for the third time yesterday.
Yeah, third time.
The fact that he wants to come down because his voice is important.
Yes.
His voice is important.
Yeah.
When you get entertainers and other people, the goalie used to be on the Canadian international soccer team, and what she talked about, it's great stuff, right? And it's very accessible, and you guys make it easy for people to access it. So kudos to you. I appreciate your comments, but kudos to you.
On that note, I appreciate that. This is an incredible country, and we need positivity to rise above the negativity, and there's too much negativity out there. So thank you, Simon.
Well said, Jerry, because that is more positive,
Good
wins over evil.
Love goes further than hate.
That's right, that's right.
That's right. Should we have a group hug?
Hold on. Let's just slow down now.
Off camera.
Slow down here. We're in a defense trade show. Simon, to pick up on Jerry's point, I mean, this is what service looks like after you take off the uniform. So very, very well done to you. Incredible vision, and let's do keep that conversation going, because quite frankly, that is exactly what's needed. And when you listen to Admiral Santarpia and the others talk about we need more sensors, this is a great solution. So well done. I mean, this is what forward, outside the box thinking looks like, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. And I also I want to thank you for giving that little explanation to those SMEs that will watch this and say, how do I get in front of Lockheed Martin? And your explanation of, before you come, do a little bit of work and show me the connections, because I know that you want to help those companies out. I know that you genuinely want to quarterback them through your bazaars, but you just need a little help from them to get going, right? Very well done to you. Been a wonderful episode of Over the Horizon. You've really taken us over the horizon, and we certainly appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks.
Thanks very much, gents. Real pleasure.